The All-Star Game, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, you know? The home field advantage.
No.
Home field advantage.
No.
Come on.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, like,
It doesn't matter.
it has to matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
I mean,
It doesn't matter. You know why?
why?
Baseball.
It's true. I mean, but if you look at the Pirates last year in the playoffs, their stadium was going nuts, like with their little chant thing that they
Yeah,
did
I don't care.
and
It's
towels.
baseball.
It has some effect on the players. It's got to.
Yeah, that's not my point. It's baseball.
So clearly your interest is not in baseball.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'll watch a baseball game, but I'm not gonna like live. But I'm not gonna go and sit for 3 hours in front of my TV watching baseball.
Right.
I'll sit for 4 hours in front of my TV watching football.
That is true.
Yeah.
Even though most of that
Actually,
is
I'll sit in front of my TV for like 13 hours a day watching football. Like Saturdays in the fall, it's just like, oh look, D2 school versus NAIA. Okay.
it's still football.
Yeah, football.
So it's gonna be on TV.
Yeah.
So I guess we should get into the game now. We've got, of course, the American League versus National League for the All-Star Game.
What about like the Canada League or something?
Well, you know, Canada, it's not a real country, so they don't count.
Are they the 51 state?
Yeah, they need to
The
stick.
51th. There we go. That's a good
a new
night
one.
tonight.
They need to, stick with hockey, which is actually, our expertise.
Yeah,
but,
we like hockey.
but whatever. We'll stick to this for now.
It's July. Is it? Yeah, it's still July. We'll talk about hockey later.
Yeah. So, starting off the game for the American League, we had our homeboy, Felix Hernandez, a.k.a. King Felix, going out taking the mound. And, of course, you knew he was going to put on a lights-out performance because he's pretty much the best pitcher in the league, at least in my opinion. He shuts people down, even though his team isn't that great.
I'm going to go ahead and say that he's the worst pitcher in the league. I don't know why. People probably put together by now that I'm not a baseball fan. Like, I will watch Florida State baseball. I will go and sit in Dick Hauser and get sunburnt, and it'll be awesome. But, like, Major Leagues just don't do it.
You must just like it for the name Dick Hauser.
Oh, yeah, I really love Hauser.
All right, well, in the game, of course, King Felix gets out of the top of the first with no real issue. And then you go to the bottom of the first, and that's when your boy Derek Jeter comes up.
Jeter.
Who
I said he stole the show simply because he got those standing ovations.
Of course.
Not for any of the work he did in the game.
Yeah, But, some people say he is the GOAT, greatest of all time for shortstop. And he did come through in the clutch, even though it was not clutch because it was the first inning.
Yeah.
But he starts the game off with a double, and then Mike Trout comes up next and blasts one out for a triple, scoring Jeter. And then later on in the inning, Miguel Cabrera comes up to the plate, and he hits a pretty decent home run. I don't know, 372, good. It's all right. So
it's a longer than a football field.
that's true. There you go.
Spot on analysis by me.
Yeah, football references.
Yeah.
So so the American League starts off with 3-0 lead, and with the pitchers that the American League has, typically that lead's gonna hold up because it's really hard to score against them. But then we go to the top of the second inning, and they completely proved me wrong.
Yeah, it was top of the second. You had John Lester come in.
Good old Red Sox boy.
Lester no, let's not go there. Yeah, and you had Chase Utley doubled, and he drove in Ramirez. Jonathan LaCroix doubled too, and then he drove in Utley. So they got 2 runs in the top of the second.
Yeah, so 1-run game, and then
It's gonna be real close.
So then we go to the bottom of the second, and Kershaw comes in for Wainwright, because Wainwright gave up 3 runs in the first inning like a noob, and he gets through the side with no problem, and then you go top of the third, goes through no problem, 3 up, 3 down. I mean, it's kind of a boring third inning there. There's no real action.
Not much going on.
Yeah, baseball, right?
Baseball.
Then you get to the top of the fourth, and Saleh comes in, pitcher from the Chicago White Sox.
Looks like LaCroix doubled again.
Yeah, so another RBI for LaCroix.
Yeah.
He's a big player coming up for the Brewers. And then we go to the bottom of the fourth, and Greinke comes in for Simon, and 3 up, 3 down. No real action anymore until the fifth.
Yeah.
And, of course, who comes up again in the clutch? It is Mike Trout.
I will say something about baseball. Mike Trout reminds me of Mark Trumbo.
You're right.
And Trumbo's awesome because his walk-up music, at least for a couple years ago with the Angels, was a Thrice song. So, yeah.
There you go.
I like baseball a little bit, guys.
You got your Thrice plug in there.
There we go.
So Trout, who had the triple earlier in the game, comes up, hits a double, scores 2 more. And then you got Altuve, who comes up and hits sacrifice fly and scores Ramirez. So we're looking at a 5-3 game.
And guess what? Baseball ensued after.
You're right. Baseball did ensue, and it was nothing but a pitcher's game from then on.
I'm looking at this thing at the top, and it's got an X in the bottom of the ninth. That means that they did so good they went to Roman numerals, right?
Could be. Or it just means that they stopped having fun and stopped playing the game mid-game.
All right.
So, the American League wins.
You see American League parentheses 1-0, so they got that perfect record going on in that one-game series.
2014 American League is the champ.
Yes.
1-0 on the season. It was a long, drawn-out season.
Oh, yeah.
But somehow they weathered the storm.
Yeah.
Avoided all injuries and came through with the victory. And now, for some reason, in a game where the players are decided by the fans, the American League has home field advantage. Makes no sense at all for a whole entire league's championship series to have a big part of it influenced by the fans.
It's essentially influenced, and the fans determine it. Yeah, you and I were talking about this earlier, and it's like, why don't a bunch of American League fans just get together and be like, let's vote in these crappy players from the NL.
Right.
Let's just do this. And, like, fans from the NL would do the same thing. And that would be – I would watch that All-Star game.
So
if both sides did that, I would watch that.
You're right, because it would just be nothing but trash players. So to make the All-Star game hilarious, our idea is you vote in the worst players possible. Yeah. Since the fans have such a big impact on it and it's ridiculous to begin with, who would you pick as your one player that you can add to the All-Star game who would just suck?
I'm probably going to have to say anyone from the Astros.
All right. Okay, that works. That works because, they're the laughingstock of the major leagues. Even though this year they're doing decent.
They're doing a little better.
It's just the past, 5 years have been god-awful. My one choice, sadly, I'm going to have to go to my home team, the Tampa Bay Rays, and I would have to choose.
The Ray that's in the little Ray thing? What do they call it again?
A devil ray, but...
No, I mean, like, the little aquarium thing.
What?
The little thing.
What thing?
The little water area where they actually have rays.
Oh, the Ray tank. Yeah.
The Ray tank.
Yeah,
Why couldn't I think of the word tank? Wow.
Okay, so my choice would be Jose Molina, in the hopes that we would be able to see him try to slide into a base, because we have seen it a couple times in his career, and it is one of the funniest things ever.
Wouldn't he really roll into a base?
That is true. Technically, on ESPN, he is 6'2", 250, but we all know this is not true. He is either not 6'2", or he is not 250, because those two numbers don't go together.
Well, they go together sometimes, but not in his case. You look at him and it's like, no, you are 6'2", 280, or you are 6 foot 250.
Pretty much, what happened to these 30 pounds? What? ESPN just like, yo, Photoshop, boom, 30 pounds, gone.
There you go.
YOLO.
Now you're not as round.
All right. Well, I think that is it for us here on 90% sports and 10% rambling.
Yeah.
You know, because it's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening. Hope you guys tune in for some more great sports coverage.